All right, so today we are going to be going over coterminal angles. So it says if two angles in standard position have the same terminal side, they're called coterminal angles. And so if you look here on the picture, they graph 120 degrees. And so we always start on the positive x-axis and then we go counterclockwise. So we go counterclockwise and then 120 degrees would end right here. And so a coterminal angle to 120 degrees would be that it would have the exact same starting point and ending point. So in this case, negative 240 degrees has the same starting point and ending point, but goes in the opposite direction. So those are considered coterminal angles because they share this side right here, the terminal side, okay? So if we look here, it says sketch each angle in standard position, then give two angles, one positive and one negative, that are coterminal to the given angle. So for right now, I'm just going to focus on how to sketch the angles in case you guys don't remember. So this first one is going to be 500 degrees. So if we look, we start on our positive x-axis. This is called our initial side. So this is where we're going to start. And then we have our terminal side. So if we look, it goes 90, 180, 270, and then 360. But 500 is still more than 360. So if I take 360 and add 90 to it, that gives us 450. So this is also 450 degrees. And then if we add another 90 to it, that is going to give us 540. So I'm going to put that here. And so 500 is going to land in between 450 and 540. So that means that our terminal side is going to be right here in the second quadrant. Okay, so our angle here, 500, is starting here. It goes around once, and then it comes back around and stops here. All right, so we have some coterminal angles. So coterminal angles, the way that we find it is if we were not going to go all the way around once, we took away that one full rotation and we just went straight from here to here, that would be considered a coterminal angle. So the way that we find that number is we have to take away one full rotation. We have to take away this piece that's right here. From here to here, that's the part that we have to take off, which is one full rotation, which is 360 degrees. So we're going to take the 500 and I'm going to subtract 360 from 500. And I believe that gives you 140. Okay. So that is one coterminal angle here. That is 140 degrees, and it is a positive. So we answered the second part to this. It asks you to give two angles, one positive. We did that. So now we need to give one negative. Okay, so that's our next step. So since we subtracted 365 from 500, that gave us 140. To find the negative angle, that means we have to start on our positive x-axis, and then we go around this way. So that is the angle that we're looking for. So to find that, we're going to take 360 and subtract, we're going to take the 140 and we're going to subtract 360 from that. So we're going to take away one rotation from there. And 140 minus 360 gives us, let me see, 140. That gives us negative 220. So negative 220 degrees. And that's it. We answered the question. So really with these problems, you're either adding a rotation or subtracting a rotation. So in this case, because 500 was such a big number and we had already gone one time around, that's why we had to subtract 360. Okay, so let's look at the next example. So here we have negative 60 degrees, already labeled our axes. It goes backwards, so it goes in clockwise rotation because it is a negative 60. And so our initial side is going to still start here, and our terminal side is going to be between 0 and 90 degrees. Okay, so that's our angle here is negative 60 from here to here. So then to find a positive terminal angle, it would be starting on our initial side and it would go around in the opposite direction. So to find what this angle is, we're going to take the negative 60 and we are going to add 360. And that gives us 300 degrees. All right. Now for the other one, on this side, we are going to get a negative one. So in order for us to get a negative coterminal angle, we're going to take our negative 60 that we had. So instead of going from here to here, we're going to have to go around once and then back through here. Okay, so that means that we're going to have to subtract a full rotation. So negative 60 minus 360 is negative 420. And that would be that angle right there. And that's it. So I don't want you guys to overcomplicate things. You're either adding or subtracting one full rotation. And one full rotation is 360 degrees. So that's our two answers, 300 degrees and negative 420. All right, so let's move. Now we're going to work with radians. So I'm going to show you guys how to do this in radians. If you are not a fan of the fractions, I would suggest you change it to radians, into degrees, and then change it back to radians. I'll go ahead and make a separate video for that for those of you guys that don't like working with these fractions. But for this one, I'm going to go ahead and work with the fractions. So we know from here, from 0 to pi, this is one full pi. Okay. They want us to graph a quarter of a pi. So I'm going to take this pi and split it into 4 equal pieces. Okay, there's my 4 equal pieces. But we only want, remember the coefficient in front of the pi is 1. We only want one of the pieces. So starting at our initial side, we only want one piece of the pi. We don't want the full thing, we just want one piece. So I'm going to go ahead and erase the rest of it. We don't need it. And that's how you graph the fractions. So here I'm going to make my little arrow. Here's my initial side. There's my terminal side. So to get one positive, we're going to make one full rotation and then come back through here. So to get another positive coterminal angle, we would have to add one full rotation to that. So I'm going to take pi over 4. And I am going to add, now because this is in radians, we can't add 360 to it. We have to add one full rotation. You know what? I didn't write it on here. One full rotation is 2 pi. So here we're going to take that and add 2 pi. And so on my calculator, I am going to punch in. This is what you put in your calculator. You're going to put 1/4, because that's this first fraction right here. And you're going to add 2. And that'll tell you how many pi's you have. So when we put that in our calculator and we change it into a fraction, that gives us 9 pi over 4. Okay. All right, now to get the negative angle. So to get the negative angle here, that would be starting on our initial side, and we go around in the opposite direction. So we would go this way. Let me make that a little prettier. So we would go around this way. Okay, that would be our negative angle, our negative coterminal angle. So we still take the same angle that we started with, pi over 4. And instead of adding a full rotation, we're going to subtract a full rotation. And in terms of pi, that means we're subtracting 2 pi. Okay. So remember, in our calculators, we have to punch in 1/4 minus 2. And that'll tell us how many pi's we have. So we do 1/4 minus 2. And make sure we give back our answer in a fraction, and that gives us negative 7 pi over 4. And that's it. All right, let's look at the next one. On this one, it is negative 2 pi over 3. So I went in the opposite direction, and I'm labeling my angles. I go from 0 to negative pi over 2 to negative pi to negative 3 pi over 2, and then I forgot to put the negative 2 pi here. That's one full rotation. So because we're going in the negative direction, I'm going to show you how you do it again. So from here to here is 1 full pi. In this case, it's negative pi. Now this is 2 out of 3. So that means that I'm going to cut my pi into 3 equal pieces. So this is what I think 3 equal pieces is. And they want 2 of the 3 pieces. So 2 of the 3 pieces would not just go to this first one. This would be 1 piece of the pie. And this would be the second piece of the pie. So we're going up to here. I'm going to erase the parts that I don't need. I don't need that. And so now I have my angle. And so we're going to find 2 coterminal angles. One positive. Our positive one would start here and come around this way. So to get that, we're going to take the negative 2 pi over 3, and we're going to add 1 full rotation to get a positive angle. And then to get the negative, that's when we would have to subtract. So here, the negative 2/3 pi plus 2 pi, we're going to go ahead and put negative 2/3 plus 2 in our calculators. And then that's going to tell us how many pi's we have. So I'm going to go ahead and plug that in real quick. Negative 2 over 3 plus 2. Change that to a fraction, and that gives us 4/3 pi. So that's our positive coterminal angle. And then for our negative coterminal angle, we're going to take negative 2 pi over 3. And instead of adding a full rotation, we're going to have to subtract a full rotation. Okay, so we're going to take negative 2/3. Instead of adding 2, we're going to go ahead and subtract 2. And then we change that into a fraction. And that gives us negative 8/3. And that angle would go from here. And instead of stopping here, like the first one did, it goes around once. And then it stops. Okay? In the negative direction. So that's why we subtracted the 2 pi. All right, I'll go ahead and make a separate video for those of you guys that are not good with fractions and you guys are better with the degrees. That way I can show you how to do it a different way. But thanks for watching. If you guys have any questions, leave it in the comments. I'll go ahead and answer those whenever I can. Otherwise, you can come see us during our office hours between 8:30 and 9:15. Thank you.